I appreciate you all being here. Thanks for coming. I got my cheat sheet here with me because when we start practice, we have 105 guys out there, and I have trouble remembering the freshmen's names, so I have them here just in case somebody asks about them. And then the first thing, I mean, we're excited about practicing and starting, but so everybody is on the same page, we have 7 guys that will not be out there when practice starts because of injuries. Marcus Stamps won't be out there because he hasn't recovered totally from a back injury. Dominic Rose is a knee injury. Ryan Pope is a lung contusion. Tyler Morris is a knee. John Carroll's a shoulder. Trenton Fincher, which is one of our new freshman offensive linemen, has a knee. And Will Strickland, who's a freshman from here in town, has a foot injury. So all 7 of those guys hopefully will get back sometime during the season, but they're not going to start with us on Monday. Now, everybody knows that we've, through preseason hype and all that stuff, everybody thinks we're going to be pretty good. I think we have a chance to be pretty good too. It's just a matter of us having the right attitude and staying away from injuries and playing well when we have to play well. So going into the season, we got a lot of enthusiasm and some positive thoughts, but we'll see how it goes.
Rocky, when do you expect those players to be back from injuries?
It all depends on the guy. I mean, we're hoping that Ryan Pope gets back soon. Marcus Stamps will be about halfway through the season. Let me see all the rest of them. All the rest of them will be sometime about halfway through the season. Now, I might also say this. We've made some position changes that are interesting, or should be interesting. Daniel Brunskill, our starting tight end, is now going to play tackle because of the Ryan Pope injury. So he's gonna be our starting tackle on that one side. And Dakota Turner, who has been a defensive lineman ever since he's been here, we're going to try him at fullback. So when practice starts, Brunskill will be at tackle and Turner will be at fullback.
Rocky, did any of your recruits not make it academically?
Nope.
Being gray shirts or anything?
They all made it academically. Now some of them are going to redshirt, obviously, because they're not ready to play. Or in Will Strickland and Fincher's case, they'll be injured for part of the season, so we'll redshirt them for sure.
Why Brunskill specifically? Because obviously you have Wells and some other big guys. Why Brunskill?
We think that he is an exceptional blocker. He understands the system already, so we don't have to worry about teaching him anything. And we have a lot of confidence in David Wells at tight end. And Brunskill was an offensive lineman in high school too. So.
I'm not mistaken, did Brunskill get some reps at tackle last season?
No. Well, I mean, yes and no. I mean, there's some times that we did some unbalanced line stuff when he was on the backside, and so he was in a tackle position, but he had an eligible number on, so that the other teams had to realize if the guy on the end of the line of scrimmage was on the line or off the line, because you can make him eligible when you get in an unbalanced line.
Seen the courage coming out of camp with fullback position. Does that change to where you want to try training there?
We just think we need a little bit more competition at that spot. And then, thank goodness he's been cleared and back, but Isaac Lassard missed a lot of the off-season workouts because of an injury. And got cleared maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, so we didn't know if he was going to get cleared or not. So,
Rocky, the defense, the second half of the season was phenomenal. Do you think you've got enough components back? And is this the best defense maybe you've had in the whole stretch of time you've been here as head coach?
I think that it's probably the most experienced defense we've had. Whether we play like that or not, that's yet to be seen. We have to come up with a nose tackle in the front. We don't have an established guy that plays there yet. And we have to come up with a linebacker to make up for Jake Feely, who was one of the best defensive players that have ever played here. So in the linebacker spot, we have to gain some depth, and the D-line spot, we have to gain some depth, and the secondary is pretty good. I mean, all the starters are back, plus their backups are back. So except that one corner spot, they're all back. So the secondary ought to be pretty good, but nothing works unless the front guys are able to hold their own.
We were pretty surprised at how the defense turned the corner from post-Penn State game on last season. I mean, because the statistics were tremendous nationally.
Well, I think it's all momentum. I think last year was all momentum. Things start going good, and all of a sudden you play better. I mean, just because of a confidence factor.
How many guys are back on defense? So there could be some continuity between last year and coming this year, or is it just a total new year?
No, there's continuity. Anytime you have experienced players coming back, that's continuity. I don't know how many starters are coming back. You guys will tell me how many starters are coming back because we play so many guys on defense. I don't know what's considered a starter. A guy that starts one game, or does the guy have to start 4 or 5 games to be considered a starter? I mean, we have different starters because of injuries and that sort of thing, but we play so many guys on defense and we rotate them so much. I don't know what a legitimate starter is considered. I don't know how many we got coming back. 6, 7, something like that.
Defense is very good at producing turnovers. Can you see that continuing as well?
I think that was the biggest. I mean, I've been asked many times what the turnover or change was last year. How come all of a sudden we started playing well and winning games? And I can come up with some real philosophical reasons why and make it sound like coaching jargon and tell you how wonderful a job we did coaching, what a wonderful job the seniors did, all those sort of things, or I can tell you the facts. The facts are in the first 4 games of the season, we turned the ball over a bunch of times and didn't cause many turnovers. And in the rest of the year, we didn't hardly turn it over at all, and we caused a ton of turnovers. So we can do all that other stuff, or we can just say maybe the turnover ratio was the biggest change in our team last year.
And how much of that, when you looked back at film and stuff, how much of it was ball hawking stuff, good tackling, all that, and how much do you feel like?
I think it's players that were confident in what their assignments were, and as they gained more and more confidence, they got more into trying to cause turnovers. Because I tell people this all the time, we don't coach them any different. We didn't coach them any different last year at the beginning of the year as we did halfway through the year. We didn't coach them any different than we did the year before. We didn't coach them any different than we did the year before that. And one year you'll have 20-some interceptions. The next year you'll have 8. Or you'll cause 45 fumbles one year and get half of them, and the next year you can only cause 6 or 7 fumbles. When you coach them the same way, I don't know why that is. Now, obviously, players that have confidence play at a little bit higher rate of speed, and they make more things happen in a positive way.
Start with New Hampshire, then Cal. Any concern about looking ahead to Cal?
None whatsoever. Look at the records. New Hampshire, there's a couple, I don't know what it was, 2 or 3 years ago, we had a team come in here that I think we took lightly, and we lost. Now, their quarterback at the time is now going to be the starting quarterback for the Patriots. New Hampshire has been, I think I counted up, 12 or 13 straight years of going to the playoffs. So just because they're from way back east and we're way out here in the west does not mean that they're not a good football team. They're a darn good football team that have a lot of players coming back and had a really good year last year. I think it's 12 straight. You got it right. Is it 12? 12 straight tournaments. They've been in their national championship tournament 12 straight times.
Rocky, are you concerned about Kristen Chapman taking on the starting role full time now? Do you think he can handle the workload?
No, we're pretty confident that he can do it because of the way he finished last year. Now, there is a difference between being the starter and the guy that came off the bench, but he's been our starting quarterback all through spring and everything, so he should be okay.
Rocky, where does the young player make the biggest jump between first year college, going through all the spring ball and starting camp as a second-year player? Is it mental recognition, playbook? Is it the physical attributes? Where does Chapman make the biggest jump?
Normally, it's confidence in his knowledge of the offense. If he has confidence in his knowledge of the offense, you can give him more things to do, like change the play or change the protections or you can get more complicated in the passing game where he actually can go from one receiver to the next receiver to a third receiver. So mostly it's confidence in his confidence of knowing the offense. Because when you put a young man in like we did last year, you protect him. You don't make him do things he can't do, and you don't make him have to do the adjusting. The coaches do the adjusting. They make sure that the protections take care of everything. They make sure that the running plays, he doesn't have to check out of running plays. So hopefully his confidence in knowing the offense will allow us to expand his role.
How realistic do you think the chances are of Pumphrey taking home some serious hardware after the year is over?
I think DJ is as good as any running back in the country. But I also think the league we play in and being on the West Coast makes it very difficult for him to earn any national recognition. I mean, when we play so many night games here, most of the people a lot of people that vote for those awards, they'll be sleeping. They won't be watching. And so I think that makes it very, very difficult, but he's as good as anybody else in the country. So that gives him a chance.
What surprised you the most about his career? What did he become that you weren't expecting?
What surprised me most at the start of his career that he was so durable and he could run between the tackles, and that hadn't changed since then. He's still durable and he still runs between the tackles.
Rocky,
The toughest players you've ever coached?
I think he's physically tough, sure. He's also one of the nicest guys I've ever been around, too. There's a difference between how you act on the field and off the field. Or there should be. Let's put it that way. There should be a difference between how you act on the field and off the field.
you usually, kind of say you take it game by game. Does the thought of an undefeated season ever creep in your mind? And do you think that's your one chance to kind of shake it?
That has never crept into my mind one time.
Not once?
Not once. And hopefully it doesn't creep into our players' mind. That's a media deal. I mean, anytime someone says if you don't win every game that's a disappointing season, are they living in a dream world? That's the biggest joke I've ever heard. I mean, it's very, very difficult no matter how good you are to win every game. It's almost impossible. I mean, there's very few teams that do it every year. You know.
As far as recognition goes on a national level, though, that an undefeated
There's no doubt anybody in our league does not get any national recognition to that level unless they win every game. That is just being – our league is that way. We don't have the national reputation. We don't have the respect. So anybody in our league that wants that kind of national recognition has to win every game. But preseason going in and saying that if you don't win every game or you should win every game, that's somebody that's living in la-la land. I mean, last year we won 10 in a row. How did we look the first 4? I mean, now some leagues you can lose 1 or 2 games and you're still going to be in the national playoffs. That's not our position. So we'll see how we do. Got to win the first one to win them all.
Do you think you guys deserve to be ranked in the coaches poll in preseason? Or
I don't think you deserve or not deserve being ranked. I think that's all perception off of last year's team. Nobody knows what this year's team's going to be like. Now, I will admit this, that because we're not ranked in that poll in the top 25 to start the season, it's much, much more difficult to get into the top 25. Okay? I will admit that. If you're in the top 25, you can have a bad game or two. If you win by 1 or something late in the game, you stay in the top 25 just because you won. Not because you look good, but you won. You can be out of the top 25 and you can play good every single game and win every single game and might not get in the top 25. And if you have a bad game, for sure you're not getting in. So it's much more difficult to get in the top 25 if you don't start there.
Is that how it should be?
I don't know if it should be or not. That's just the way it is. I mean, there's some guys in the top 25 just because of their name, their brand. I don't necessarily believe they belong in there, but their brand puts them in there preseason.
Rocky, you won on the blue turf at Boise a couple times. Do you think this program is now about to become Boise and would be getting to a New Year's Day bowl game take this thing to the next level?
I'd like our team to go to the next level if that's what you consider the next level. I mean, let's don't get ahead of ourselves. I mean, go back and see how many bowl games San Diego State was in, and we've been in 6 straight. People are downplaying what this program has done over the last 6 years to the point that, wow, if you don't do this, if you don't do this great thing, you don't have a good program anymore. Our number one goal is to win the conference championship. If we don't do that, we're going to be very disappointed. All that other stuff that people want to talk about, you guys want to talk about, that stuff happens if you're good enough. But just if you don't get there does not mean it's a disappointing season. Now, if we don't get in a bowl game, that's going to be a disappointing season. But the feel I'm getting from the media is if we don't go to the next level, so to speak, that something's wrong. That's not even close to the truth.
You mentioned Vasquez and how he's going to fill in. Logan, you mentioned like starter. I don't know if he's the first team or starter.
He's starting. I would never move a guy like that that's a senior and good at his position unless he was going to start.
What about like Sdsu though, or who other candidates to compete with him during camp? Like Joe or?
Well, nobody's competing with him in camp. He's our starting tackle.
Right now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And what do you know about the line? Like, was that football related?
Well, it was in off-season workouts. All of a sudden, he had a contusion where there was some bleeding in there and all that kind of stuff. So they have to make sure his lungs are clear and all that, and that's a time-consuming thing, I guess. I mean, you're asking the wrong guy. According to doctors, that's a time-consuming deal before they're going to release him to play again.
And from what you're hearing, it's kind of a thing that you can't really put a timetable on.
Well, they check him once a week
Yeah.
to see if he's ready to go back. Now, he can work out. They're afraid if he gets hit again. Yeah.
Rocky, in the history of really good linebackers that have worn the colors, where's Munson rate? How good is Munson?
Well, I thought we had the best of both worlds last year. I thought our 2 linebackers were the 2 best linebackers in the league. So I think that he's as good as any linebacker in our league, and he's as good as any linebacker that we played against or will be playing against. I really believe that. I have no idea a way to compare him to past linebackers that played here or linebackers across the country because I don't watch them. I don't watch them on film unless we're playing them.
Who's the most likely to kind of fill Feely's role?
That's one of the big questions coming into fall camp. I have no idea. Those guys will be given a lot of opportunities to prove they're the guy. We've got 2 young guys in the program that played some last year. We got a JC guy that played quite a bit last year. We have one that's probably we could move into an inside linebacker. We'd like to keep him as an outside linebacker, Ryan Dunn. But if we have to, we can move him to the inside. But Ronley Laka will have a chance. Austin Wyatt there will have a chance. Chiava, Tizino will have a chance. Those 3 guys will be battling it out all fall camp to be the other linebacker.
Anybody have an edge right now?
Not in my mind. And since I'm the one to decide, no.
So that's as good a competition on probably that side of the ball, right?
That and who our nose tackle is going to be. I mean, we got Sergio Phillips. We got Noble Hall. We recruited a JC guy, John Darius Gardner. We recruited him. Those 3 boys are going to battle it out to see. And most likely what will happen is we'll decide on 2 of them and they'll split time. That's most likely what will happen.